Mr. Secretary, you're using up my time. You do this every single time. You do this every single time. And it's a fact, and you know it, and I know it, that the more people you allow into our country illegally, the more people are counted for reapportionment. And the more people that you allow into our country illegally, the more people are counted for allocating electoral votes. Now, maybe that's a coincidence, but that's a fact. And you know that. And you've done nothing for 4 years. Nada. Zero.
Absolutely false.
Zilch. And in fact, the only people I know in this country who are better off today than they were 4 years ago are illegal immigrants. And that's as a result of your policy. I don't hate you for it. I don't hate anyone, but that's why you've been impeached. And my colleagues may try to cover it up. They're going to try to cover it up, but they can't cover up the facts.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Congress Lens. I'm Audrey. That exchange between Senator John Kennedy and Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was intense. And honestly, it felt like one of those moments where someone finally said what a lot of Americans have been thinking. Whether you agree with Senator John Kennedy or not, you cannot say he held back. He went straight to the issue of trust, border security, and political consequences. And when you are questioning the Secretary of Homeland Security, those are serious topics. This was not just political theater. This was about immigration policy, impeachment, and how population numbers affect representation in Congress and even electoral votes. Tonight we are going to break down exactly what Senator John Kennedy argued, how Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas responded, and why this clash actually matters beyond that hearing room. If you believe in holding public officials accountable, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Congress Lens, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get into it.
Thank you, Chair Murray. Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Secretary, I don't hate anybody. I look for grace wherever I can find it. And I certainly don't hate you. My chairman talked about the woolly mammoths in the room, and I'm glad he brought that up. The chairman's immigration bill was negotiated by two members of my party, Senator Langford and Senator McConnell, and I don't speak for either one. They're both good men. The chairman said that the Republicans who negotiated his bill trusted you and wanted you there. And I'm not doubting his word. It gives me no joy to say this, but most Republicans don't trust you. And a vast majority of the American people don't trust you. That's why you've been impeached. Now, my Democratic colleagues are going to try to sweep your impeachment under the rug and violate 200 years of Senate precedent in doing it. I don't think that they will be able to sweep the issue, maybe your impeachment, but not the issue, under a rug as big as the United States of America. Again, it gives me no joy in saying this. I think well more than a majority of the American people think that as a result of your behavior and President Biden's behavior, our southern border is an open, bleeding wound. I think they believe that our southern border is chaotic. I think a vast majority of the American people believe that a lot of it is political. I think a vast majority of the American people believe that it is chaotic by design. and that all of this is intentional. And I think while a vast majority of the American people who don't trust you believe in legal immigration, they don't believe in illegal immigration. And they think you do. And they think President Biden does. And they think that's why the border is open. And they think that your attitude and President Biden's attitude is that while they may be poorer under President Biden, that they're stupid enough to believe you and the president when you say that it's not your problem. I think that needed to be said. Isn't it a fact, Mr. Secretary, that the number of illegal immigrants that you and the president allow into our country counts for congressional district reapportionment?
Senator, I'm not sure I understand your question, but I can surely share with you that I disagree with its phrasing.
Isn't it true, Mr. Secretary, that the number of illegal immigrants that you and President Biden have allowed into our country counts for allocating electoral votes?
Same answer.
Okay. You don't know?
I don't understand your question.
Never crossed your mind?
The notion, Senator, that we intend to allow illegal immigration is nothing short of preposterous.
So you do understand my question?
And if I may, it is disrespectful to the extraordinarily hard work that we perform, and far more importantly, that the personnel in the Department of Homeland Security and across this administration perform to stem illegal immigration, build lawful, safe, and orderly pathways, and invest in a working system. And we only wish that bipartisan legislation, about which I have not heard a critical term,
Mr. Secretary, you're using up my time. You do this every single time. You do this every single time. And it's a fact, and you know it, and I know it, that the more people you allow into our country illegally, the more people are counted for reapportionment. And the more people that you allow into our country illegally, the more people are counted for allocating electoral votes. Now, maybe that's a coincidence, but that's a fact. And you know that. And you've done nothing for 4 years. Nada. Zero.
absolutely false.
Zilch. And in fact, the only people I know in this country who are better off today than they were 4 years ago are illegal immigrants. And that's as a result of your policy. I don't hate you for it. I don't hate anyone, but that's why you've been impeached. And my colleagues may try to cover it up. They're going to try to cover it up. But they can't cover up the facts. I've gone over my time. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Peters.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Secretary Mayorkas. It's wonderful to see you here today, and I'm going to see you again next week when you come before my committee, the Homeland and Governmental Affairs Committee, and it's good to have an opportunity to ask you.
After watching the full exchange, I have to say this clearly. Senator John Kennedy came prepared and focused. And in my opinion, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas did not directly answer the core question that was asked. Senator John Kennedy started by saying he does not hate anyone. That stood out to me. He framed his criticism as policy-based, not personal. Then he moved straight into the issue of trust. He said most Republicans and many Americans do not trust Secretary Mayorkas. Whether you agree with that or not, the concern about border management is real for a lot of people. Then came the key question. Senator John Kennedy asked whether illegal immigrants count toward congressional reapportionment and the allocation of electoral votes. That is not a small question. Congressional seats and electoral votes are based on population counts. Population determines political power. So the argument Senator John Kennedy was making is that if illegal immigrants are counted in census totals, states with higher numbers could gain more representation and influence. That is a constitutional-level concern. Instead of directly addressing whether illegal immigrants are counted for reapportionment, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas pushed back on the framing and said the idea that the administration intends to allow illegal immigration is preposterous and disrespectful. But here is the issue. Senator John Kennedy was not asking about intent. He was asking about impact. He was asking about the numbers and how they affect representation. That question never received a direct yes or no answer. And that is why you could see the frustration build. Senator John Kennedy accused Secretary Mayorkas of using up his time and avoiding the issue. Watching the exchange, I can understand why he felt that way. The response focused more on defending the Department of Homeland Security than addressing the specific structural question. Another strong point Senator John Kennedy made was that many Americans believe the situation at the southern border feels chaotic. Whether someone agrees with that description or not, that perception exists. And perception matters in politics. He also tied this directly to the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas, arguing that the impeachment stems from what he sees as policy failures. That is a serious charge, and it shows just how deep the divide is on immigration. One of the sharpest lines from Senator John Kennedy was when he said the only people better off today than 4 years ago are illegal immigrants. That is clearly a political statement, but it reflects the frustration some Americans feel about economic strain and border policy. Now, to be fair, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas did defend the work of DHS personnel and talked about efforts to create lawful pathways and push bipartisan legislation. That is part of the broader conversation. But oversight hearings are about answering direct questions clearly. And on the central question about reapportionment and electoral votes, that clarity was missing. In my view, Senator John Kennedy pressed on an issue that many politicians avoid discussing publicly. Whether you agree with his tone or not, he focused on representation, census counts, and political consequences. Those are foundational issues in how this country is structured. This debate is not going away anytime soon. I want to hear from you. Did Senator John Kennedy raise valid concerns? Should Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas have answered more directly? Or do you think the framing itself was flawed? Drop your thoughts below and keep it respectful. This is Congress Lens. I'm Audrey, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.